live in the now with this powerful Zen story. In today's fast-paced world, we're constantly chasing after the future or stuck in the past, caught up in an endless whirlwind of thoughts, responsibilities, and distractions. But what if I told you that all it takes to break free from this chaotic cycle is to embrace the present moment? To truly live in the now? This Zen story will show you how. In this video, I'm going to challenge myself to live fully in the moment for an entire day. Inspired by an ancient Zen tale, I'll explore the power of mindfulness and how being present can change the way we experience life. Stick with me as we uncover the magic of living in the now. Chapter 1. The Struggle of the Modern World. In the modern age, distractions are constant. Our lives are inundated with notifications, emails, messages, and the demands of a fast-paced society. The moment we wake up, we are bombarded with messages, work, family, friends, and the pressure to be productive. The idea of silence or stillness feels foreign in a world that is always asking for more. The more we try to accomplish, the more distracted we become. And in this cycle, the true essence of living, being in the moment, is lost. But what is it about this constant rush that keeps us hooked? The desire to stay connected, to be involved in everything happening around us, pulls us away from what is happening right now. We chase after things that may or may not bring happiness, believing that once we reach the next milestone, the next achievement, the next task, we will finally feel at peace. But this is a false promise. Each achievement leads to the next, and soon, we realize that the peace we sought was never in those external accomplishments. It was always within us, waiting to be acknowledged. The constant activity in our lives creates an illusion that we are being productive or living fully. But in reality, we are disconnected from the present. We are so focused on what's coming next or what happened before that we miss out on the richness of now. This is the essence of suffering in the modern world. Anxiety, stress, and disconnection stem from being mentally scattered, never truly present. We often find ourselves worrying about things that haven't happened yet, imagining worst-case scenarios, or replaying past mistakes in our minds. These thoughts, while they seem necessary at the time, distract us from the beauty and the stillness of the present moment. We may think we're solving problems or preparing for challenges, but in reality, we are losing precious time. The future is uncertain, and the past cannot be changed. The only thing we have is the now, the present moment in which we can choose to fully live. The challenge is to quiet that inner chatter and to reclaim our attention. By practicing mindfulness, we begin to cut through the noise, bringing our awareness back to the present moment. It's not about controlling our thoughts or stopping them completely, but rather about noticing when we get lost in them and gently guiding ourselves back to the here and now. Mindfulness teaches us to experience life as it is, without judgment, without attachment. It allows us to observe our thoughts without getting tangled in them. It invites us to accept ourselves and our circumstances as they are, without wishing for them to be different. This simple shift in perspective can change everything. Instead of chasing after the future or dwelling in the past, we can learn to find peace in the present moment. Living in the moment doesn't mean we stop planning or reflecting. It means we do these things with full awareness, with an open heart and mind. It means we embrace each moment as it comes, without rushing through it or resisting it. It's about being alive, not just going through the motions. Chapter 2. The Power of Mindfulness. Mindfulness is not merely a practice, it's a way of living. In the modern world, we are constantly pulled in different directions, our attention fragmented across countless tasks, notifications, and worries. But mindfulness teaches us to return to the center, to the here and now. It allows us to escape the constant noise of the mind, where distractions and anxieties breed. Instead of being at the mercy of our thoughts, we become the observer of them. with a sense of calm and clarity. At its core, mindfulness is about being fully present with whatever we are doing. It doesn't require grand rituals or special environments. It can be practiced anywhere, anytime, whether it's savoring the warmth of a cup of tea, feeling the breeze against our skin on a walk, or paying full attention to a conversation. Mindfulness asks us to let go of the need to multitask or worry about the future. It encourages us to live with intention, to experience life in its fullness without rushing or avoiding. This practice is about acceptance. Often, we get caught up in trying to change things we can't control or wishing that things were different. Mindfulness teaches us to simply accept the present as it is, without judgment. The beauty of mindfulness lies in this acceptance. It's the freedom to let go of our need to fix everything and instead to embrace what is. When we are mindful, we become more aware of the automatic habits of the mind, our tendencies to judge, to compare, or to rush through life. We learn to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, and to notice what's happening inside us without labeling it as good or bad. This awareness allows us to respond to situations with clarity, rather than being driven by impulses or old patterns. Mindfulness is also a powerful antidote to anxiety and stress. In our busy lives, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to worry about things we can't control or anticipate problems before they happen. By focusing on the present moment, mindfulness helps us break free from the endless loop of worry and rumination. Instead of being caught in a spiral of negative thoughts, we can bring our attention back to what's real and happening right now. And in doing so, we often find that our worries are much smaller than we had imagined. Through mindfulness, we are also able to deepen our connection with the world around us. When we are truly present, we notice the small details, the sound of birds singing, the smell of rain on the earth, the texture of a leaf. These simple experiences, when fully appreciated, can bring us immense joy. Mindfulness opens our hearts to life's beauty, reminding us that peace doesn't come from external circumstances, but from our ability to fully engage with the present moment. To begin living more mindfully, we must first commit to being present. This means letting go of the distractions that pull us away from the moment. It means making a conscious effort to focus on what we are doing, without rushing through it or thinking ahead to what's next. Start small, whether it's paying attention to your breath for a few moments each day or being fully engaged when talking to someone. These small moments of presence add up. A Zen story perfectly illustrates the transformative power of mindfulness. In the story, a young monk is troubled by the constant chatter of his thoughts. Unable to focus on his meditation, his master, seeing his frustration, tells him to go into the forest and sit under a tree, paying attention to the natural world around him. The monk, still filled with inner noise, struggles at first, but slowly, as he observes the rustling leaves, the flow of the wind, and the quiet of the forest, he begins to settle into a deeper state of awareness. The distractions of his mind begin to fade, and he experiences a profound stillness. In this moment of presence, the monk realizes that peace was always available, simply waiting for him to stop, breathe, and let go of his distractions. This story reveals a key truth. Peace is always available to us, but it's often hidden by our constant need to control, to think, and to worry. Through mindfulness, we clear away the noise and open ourselves to the stillness that already exists. Just like the monk under the tree, we can return to a state of peace and clarity, simply by being present. The power of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. When we stop and pay attention to the moment, we find that life becomes more meaningful and connected. Chapter 3. A Zen Story of Presence and Transformation. In ancient Japan, there was a young monk named Kato, who was renowned for his extraordinary ability to remain present in the moment. His skill in meditation was exceptional, and his peaceful presence was a beacon for others seeking calm in the chaos of their minds. Kato had mastered the art of living in the now, and it was his presence that allowed him to find clarity, even in the most challenging situations. One day, while traveling to a nearby village, Kato came across a woman named Akira. She was sitting by the river, her hands idle, her face clouded with worry. The river flowed steadily beside her, its waters rushing forward in a constant stream. Yet Akira was rooted in place, consumed by her thoughts. She seemed detached from the beauty surrounding her, her gaze distant, as if her mind was far away. Akira was a weaver, known for her exceptional silk fabrics. She had created works of art that had captured the admiration of many, and her skills were unrivaled. But today, she was troubled. She had received a prestigious order from the emperor himself, an opportunity that many artisans could only dream of. However, this very honor had become a source of immense pressure. The task was monumental, and the emperor's expectations weighed heavily on her shoulders. She had been trying for days to come up with a design worthy of the emperor's request. But the more she thought about it, the more blocked she felt. Every idea seemed insufficient. She was stuck, lost in a maze of doubts, fears, and insecurities. She felt that she had failed before she even began. Anxiety gripped her mind, and she wondered if she would ever be able to create something beautiful again. Kato, walking along the riverbank, noticed the woman's distress. He was not one to overlook the suffering of others, even if it was not immediately apparent. The stillness of his heart allowed him to sense that something was amiss with Akira. He approached her quietly and asked if everything was all right. His voice was gentle, filled with a sense of calm. And Akira, looking up, met his eyes. She could see in his expression that he was not here to judge her, but to listen. Akira hesitated for a moment before speaking, her voice shaky and filled with vulnerability. "I fear I won't be able to create something worthy of the emperor," she confessed. "My mind is a whirlwind of doubt. I cannot quiet it long enough to find the right design. Everything I try feels inadequate, and I fear I will disappoint him." Kato listened attentively, his gaze soft and understanding. He did not immediately offer advice or try to solve her problem. He knew that sometimes, the best way to help someone was not to provide answers, but to simply be with them in their struggle. Without saying much, he invited Akira to sit with him by the river, asking her to take a moment and simply observe the flowing water. At first, Akira was restless. She tried to focus on the river, but her mind kept returning to her worries. She thought about the emperor, the expectations she had to meet, and the fear that her creativity was gone. Her thoughts raced with worries of failure and disappointment, and the quiet of the river seemed only to amplify the noise in her mind. She fidgeted with her hands, unable to still her thoughts. Kato, however, remained calm. He sat next to her in complete silence, his posture relaxed and serene. His breath was steady, and his presence exuded a deep sense of peace. He was not distracted by the world around him, nor was he caught in the whirlwind of thoughts. His eyes were soft, focused on the present moment, and he allowed himself to simply be with the flow of life. He knew that the key to peace lay not in controlling the mind, but in allowing it to settle naturally. As Kato remained still and present, Akira began to notice the shift in the air around her. At first, it was subtle, a slight stillness that seemed to permeate the space. Then, as time passed, she noticed her own breath slowing down, her thoughts becoming less intrusive. The river, once just a background noise, became a source of calming rhythm. The rustling of the leaves in the trees took on a new clarity, and the warmth of the sun on her skin felt comforting, grounding her in the moment. Gradually, Akira began to feel a sense of release. The pressure in her chest, the anxiety that had been weighing her down, began to ease. She was no longer consumed by thoughts of failure, nor was she judging herself for not being able to create the perfect design. Instead, she was simply present, fully aware of her surroundings. And for the first time in days, she felt a sense of peace. And then, something remarkable happened. As Akira became more present in the moment, her creativity began to flow freely. It was as if the clutter in her mind had cleared, making space for inspiration to enter. She felt a deep connection to the world around her, and the fabric of reality seemed more vivid, more alive. The worries that had once consumed her now seemed insignificant in the face of this stillness. In that moment of clarity, Akira could see the beauty of the world around her. She could hear the water flowing, the birds singing in the trees, and the whispers of the wind. Everything felt interconnected, and in this sense of unity, her mind became clear, her hands steady. As she began to weave, her fingers moved with grace and precision, the threads of the silk flowing effortlessly under her touch. The design she created that day was unlike anything she had ever woven before. It was a masterpiece, one that reflected the beauty and serenity she had found in the present moment. The patterns seemed to emerge organically, as if the fabric itself was guiding her hands. It was a creation born not out of force, but from the space of stillness and presence. Kato did not offer her any advice or instructions. He did not tell her what to do or how to find her creativity. Instead, he simply sat beside her, his presence a quiet reminder of the power of mindfulness. In his stillness, Akira was able to reconnect with herself, to rediscover the flow of her creativity, and to realize that the answer was never in the future or the past. It was always in the present moment. The story of Akira and Kato teaches us a profound lesson. Creativity and inspiration are not born from stress, pressure, or endless striving. They are born from presence. When we let go of our worries, stop forcing things, and simply allow ourselves to be fully present, we open ourselves to the flow of life. Creativity arises naturally, and the answers we seek often appear when we stop searching for them. This Zen story reminds us that the key to transformation, whether in our work, relationships, or inner peace, lies in being present. In the stillness of the moment, we find clarity, and in that clarity, we find the ability to create, to heal, and to grow. Chapter 4. The lesson: anxiety and distraction are the true barriers. What happened to Akira was not magical in the traditional sense. It wasn't a sudden burst of mystical power that unlocked her creativity. Instead, it was the transformative power of mindfulness, the ability to return to the present moment, that allowed her to reconnect with her true self. Her anxiety and fear were not the real problem. The real issue was her preoccupation with the future, with the expectations placed upon her, and the pressure of trying to live up to them. In that constant worrying and striving, she lost touch with the beauty and clarity of the present moment. It's so easy to get lost in our thoughts about what's next or what might happen. Society teaches us to always be thinking ahead, to plan for the future, to anticipate every possible outcome. But when we focus all our energy on the future, we miss what's happening right now. We become so consumed by worry and stress that we forget to fully experience life as it is. It's a cycle that feeds on itself. Anxiety about what's to come keeps us from living in the moment. And the more we're distracted, the more we feel overwhelmed and disconnected. Kato didn't offer Akira a solution to her problem because he understood that true transformation doesn't come from fixing things externally. Often, we are conditioned to believe that answers lie in external advice, or that success comes from relentless effort. But Kato knew something different. The real solution to Akira's struggle was within her. It wasn't about finding the perfect design or meeting external expectations. It was about quieting the inner noise, allowing her to reconnect with the stillness and peace that exist within each of us. Kato didn't try to fix Akira's anxiety. He didn't tell her to push through her fear or come up with a better plan. Instead, he sat with her in silence, simply being present. He offered no judgment or criticism, no advice or pressure. His calmness and stillness provided the space she needed to slow down and begin to see things clearly. By being fully present, Kato allowed Akira to rediscover her own inner wisdom and creativity, which had been hidden beneath the weight of her anxieties. This is a vital lesson for all of us. When we are stuck in anxiety, distractions, and worries about the future, we disconnect from the present moment. We become so entangled in the mental chatter that we miss the richness of the life unfolding right in front of us. Our minds are constantly jumping from one thought to the next, often dwelling on what could go wrong or what has already passed, preventing us from fully experiencing the here and now. When we allow ourselves to become caught in these mental patterns, we miss the opportunity to connect with our own creativity, our own sense of peace, and the beauty of the world around us. Creativity cannot thrive in a distracted mind. Innovation, inspiration, and insight all require stillness and presence. They come when we stop trying to force them and simply allow ourselves to be in the moment. But when we can quiet the mind, when we can step away from the distractions of our thoughts and emotions, we open ourselves to new possibilities. By being fully present, we allow space for creativity to flow freely. We can approach challenges with a fresh perspective and find solutions that we may have missed before. Instead of being consumed by fear and doubt, we become open to the flow of life, and in that openness, new opportunities and experiences emerge. The practice of mindfulness is not just about meditation. It's about bringing awareness to every moment of our lives. It's about choosing to engage fully with what's happening right now, whether it's a conversation, a task at work, or simply breathing. When we are truly present, we bring all of ourselves to the moment. We experience life with clarity, creativity, and peace. It's important to remember that mindfulness is a skill that takes time to develop. In a world filled with distractions, it can be difficult to quiet the mind and truly be present. But just as Akira learned, the more we practice mindfulness, the easier it becomes to let go of our worries and distractions. The more we bring our attention to the present moment, the more we open ourselves to the richness of life. Ultimately, the lesson of Akira's story is that anxiety, fear, and distraction are the true barriers to living fully. We can often spend so much time worrying about what might happen, or replaying past mistakes, that we forget to live in the now. But when we practice mindfulness, we break free from this cycle. We allow ourselves to experience the beauty of each moment, and in doing so, we unlock our own creativity, clarity, and peace. Mindfulness is not a magical solution, but rather a return to the simple truth that everything we need is already here, right in front of us, in the present moment. Chapter 5: How to apply this Zen wisdom to our own lives. So, what can we take away from this story? How can we apply the lesson of mindfulness to our daily lives? The story of Akira and Kato provides us with valuable insights into how to live more mindfully and reconnect with the present moment. To truly benefit from the wisdom in this story, we need to integrate mindfulness into our everyday routine. Here are some practical steps to apply this Zen wisdom in our own lives. A. Start small. Living in the present doesn't mean you have to make drastic changes overnight. It's about taking small, intentional steps toward mindfulness each day. Begin by setting aside brief moments to be fully present. You don't need to schedule long meditation sessions or drastically change your life. Instead, find small windows throughout the day to practice mindfulness. It could be as simple as focusing on your breath for a few seconds while waiting in line, or taking a moment to feel the sensations in your body while drinking a cup of tea. By starting small, you allow yourself to integrate mindfulness gradually and without overwhelming yourself. As you go through your day, pay attention to your surroundings and engage all your senses. Notice the sounds around you, the way the air feels on your skin, or the colors and shapes in your environment. When you are mindful, you can fully experience even the most mundane tasks. A walk outside becomes an opportunity to connect with nature. A conversation becomes a moment of real connection with another person. And even your daily chores take on new meaning as you become more aware of the task at hand. These small moments of presence will begin to accumulate, creating a foundation for a more mindful life. B. Let go of judgment. One of the core aspects of mindfulness is learning to let go of judgment. We often spend so much of our time labeling our experiences as good or bad. And this mental habit can prevent us from fully experiencing the moment. Instead of critiquing ourselves or others, mindfulness encourages us to simply observe what is happening without adding judgment. This doesn't mean we condone harmful behavior or ignore our feelings. It means we learn to observe them without attaching labels like right or wrong. When we let go of judgment, we can experience life as it truly is, without the filter of our biases or expectations. This opens up space for us to appreciate things as they are. Without the pressure to change them, we can embrace our emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, and learn to see them as temporary states that will pass. By observing rather than judging, we create a sense of inner peace and acceptance, which allows us to move through life with more ease. C. Embrace the present. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in the worries of the future or regrets about the past. The mind tends to jump from one thought to the next, fixating on things that may or may not happen or dwelling on mistakes we've made. But when we focus on the present moment, we give ourselves the gift of true freedom. The present is the only moment we have. The future is always uncertain. And the past is already gone. By embracing the present, we free ourselves from the mental burdens of anxiety and regret. We can't change the past, and the future is not here yet, but we can shape how we experience the moment we are in right now. When we fully embrace the present, we begin to see the world with fresh eyes. We begin to notice the small joys that we often overlook, like the warmth of the sun, the beauty of a flower, or the laughter of a loved one. When we engage with the world in this way, life becomes richer and more meaningful. This isn't to say that we should abandon our plans or stop learning from the past. Mindfulness is about balance. It's about being able to plan for the future and reflect on the past, but without letting those things distract us from the beauty and peace that exist in the present moment. When we live in the moment, we bring our full attention to what is happening right now, and in doing so, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. By applying these simple practices, starting small, letting go of judgment, and embracing the present, we can gradually transform our lives and create more space for peace, creativity, and connection. It's not about perfection, but rather about being mindful in the ordinary moments of life. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we unlock the potential to live fully in each moment, just as Akira did when she found clarity in the stillness of the present. Chapter 6. Conclusion. As I challenge myself to live fully in the present for an entire day, I encourage you to take this journey alongside me. The practice of mindfulness isn't just a technique we apply here and there. It's a transformative way of living. It's about immersing ourselves fully in the present moment, without distractions, without worry about what has happened or what might come next. The beauty of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. It teaches us to be completely alive to what's happening right now, to engage deeply with each moment, whether it's mundane or extraordinary. When we embrace mindfulness, we open ourselves to a world filled with creativity, peace, and clarity. Our minds become less cluttered by the noise of past regrets and future anxieties. We begin to see life more clearly, appreciating the subtle details we often overlook, the way the light shifts throughout the day, the feeling of a gentle breeze, the sound of a loved one's voice. These small moments, when we are fully present, become the building blocks of a richer, more meaningful life. As we practice living in the moment, we unlock new possibilities. Creativity flows more freely, we connect more deeply with others, and we find a deep sense of inner peace. Mindfulness allows us to experience life more fully, to be more grounded, and to respond to the world with greater intention. So, how do you stay present in your life? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. How do you navigate the distractions of modern life while staying rooted in the now? Feel free to share in the comments below. If you want to explore more about mindfulness and the power of being present, I invite you to check out my other videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who could use a gentle reminder to live in the now.